I'm gonna take a look at one of these vaults. These things are tight before I pull it too hard one way. I'm not gonna break it, am I? Let's take a step back in time and look at one of Texas' most populous and richest cities. Welcome to Galveston Unscripted. Walking around Galveston on this cool October morning, there's not much going on. It honestly feels like a sleepy little beach town. Not much traffic, as you can tell. I'm walking in the middle of the street. But back in the late 1800s, there would have been thousands of people making their way to and from Galveston's downtown district, as Galveston was the largest economic driver in the state of Texas, one of the most populous cities. There's a reason why Galveston was home to some of the state's largest banks, businesses, and religious institutions. Because of geography, because of where Galveston is located, the island was the connective tissue to ports all over the world due to its proximity to the open ocean, to the Gulf of Mexico, and rail networks into Texas and the American West. Thanks to our video sponsor, The Daily News, bringing you the news since 1842. Texas' oldest newspaper. Support your local newspaper, The Daily News. Galveston has had quite a few nicknames. The Playground of the South, the Oleander City, and the Wall Street of the Southwest. But how did Galveston get that nickname? I am walking on Strand, right here, 1 block away from the Port of Galveston. One of the streets in the heart of the downtown business district that not only built Galveston, but built the state of Texas. Now, while we're standing here on the Strand, it's important to remember the port that built Texas was just a few hundred feet away from this street, which connects Galveston to the rest of the world, which was a very important factor to Galveston and Texas growth in the late 1800s. Of course, ever since the first European settlements were founded here on the island in the early 1800s, the island was known for having a natural deepwater harbor, which made it a perfect point along the Texas Gulf Coast for trade. After Mexico won its independence from Spain in 1821, they established a customs house here in Galveston in 1825, making Galveston an official port. After Texas won its independence and the city of Galveston was founded in 1839, between 1839 and 1861, when the Civil War broke out, the Port of Galveston was growing at an astonishing rate. At a few points in the 1850s, the Port of Galveston was growing at 50% per year, which is a crazy amount of growth. After the Civil War ended in 1865, thousands and thousands of people flocked to this little island. The bulk of cargo that passed into or out of the state of Texas came through Galveston. And Galveston once again became a key trading port for the United States of America, becoming one of the busiest ports in the United States, the largest west of the Mississippi River and New Orleans. As the money and cargo flowed in, these big, gorgeous buildings were built. Most of the first floors in these buildings were used as warehouses, as storage, and the second, third, and fourth floors would have been used as office space. It's hard to imagine today, but after the Civil War, until the late 1880s, Galveston was the most populous city in Texas, larger than most of Texas' major cities we know today. And by the 1890s, Galveston's downtown district was home to 5 of the state's largest banks, making the Strand and the downtown area one of the most economically robust districts in this part of the country. Now, to put things in perspective, if you lived in West Texas and you needed a loan to grow your crops, you could come down to Galveston and get a loan for whatever you were going to grow that season. What's a little bit interesting is that this street, the Strand, gets a lot of the credit for Galveston's economic prowess and growth in the late 1800s. But we have to remember there's an entire downtown district connected to the port when we look south. From Mechanic and Market, Post Office, Church, many of those streets hosted businesses and banks. In 1865, the first national bank in Texas was chartered right here in Galveston. Between 1869 and 1876, a number of state chartered banks opened in Texas, many of which were in Galveston. And those banks supported the growth of the state of Texas and the American West. Unfortunately, in the past 50 years, many of the buildings have been torn down in the downtown area that ties us back to the Wall Street of the Southwest. But we can still see a few remnants of Galveston's economic prowess. Now, when we say Wall Street of the Southwest, what do we really mean? Wall Street in New York is associated with trading stocks and commodities. Did Galveston have a stock exchange? Not exactly. What was the most important crop being exported from Galveston in the late 1800s? Cotton. So right here we have the second rendition of a cotton exchange building here in Galveston. Now this one's built in an Art Deco style. The first one was more of a Victorian style. This building was built so businessmen could trade cotton as a commodity, a true exchange. Cotton was one of the most in-demand products and crops worldwide, and Texas and the southern United States grew most of it. And from the late 1800s into the early 1900s, Galveston was the largest cotton exporter in the entire country. Many of the buildings and businesses that we still see in the downtown district were built on top of cotton trade. If you ever have a chance to go inside of these buildings, you will still find existing bank vaults. Here I am on the corner of 22nd and Strand, where we are gonna go take a look at one of the bank vaults inside of the 1878 bank building, now the Galveston Art Center. Hello. I'm on the second floor of the 1878 bank building, which is now the Galveston Art Center. I'm gonna take a look at one of these vaults. You ready? You ready for it? These things are tight. Well, I guess I'm not doing it then. Before I pull it too hard one way. I'm not gonna break it, am I? This is Lisa, director of the Galveston Art Center. Can you open this vault for us?
Absolutely. This is one of 3 original vaults in the building. Only one with the vault door.
Oh my gosh, this is cool. And you guys just use it for storage now, right?
Yeah, this is probably one of the most expensively built storage units on the island. We do have exhibitions in here from time to time, but otherwise it's very valuable storage.
These walls are solid.
They're almost 2 feet of cement all the way around.
Oh my gosh. And of course this door is very heavy. So a lot of money would have been stored in there.
That's the jewel vault.
Oh, the jewel vault. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
The success of the Strand and Galveston has to do with one thing. That's proximity. Proximity to the port of Galveston and the western regions of the United States. Let's go see how close the Strand actually is to the port that connects to the rest of the world. Every other major port in the world is really connected by one thing. That's the ocean. This port is nice and noisy today, just how I like all of my ports to be. Here at the Port of Galveston, we are connected to the rest of the world. This waterway has been used since before the city of Galveston was founded in 1839, even used by pirates back in the 18-teens, as it is a natural deepwater harbor, which made the Strand the perfect place as the economic center of Texas. You'd have had long wooden finger piers stretching out to reach the deep water back here in Galveston Bay. So as Texas and the American West were growing and expanding, you needed port infrastructure to import from not only places around the world, but from the US as well. In conjunction with the Port of Galveston, which is right behind me, a robust rail network started to take shape in the late 1800s, which could connect cargo from all over the world to the western United States, and vice versa. After the Civil War, Galveston became one of the busiest ports in the nation, the largest west of the Mississippi River and New Orleans. Many Galvestonians rejected promoting Galveston as a beach resort city. Many city leaders wanted to maintain a status of a financial center, not so much a beach town, as they were trying to maintain and drive outside investment into Galveston's business district. And then the Great Storm of 1900 decimated Galveston Island, killing over 6,000 people and shattering a major portion of the economy in Texas. And until the Port of Houston was founded and operational in 1914, Galveston was the closest deepwater port to places like Denver, Colorado. If you learned anything at all, please make sure to like and subscribe to Galveston Unscripted. And don't forget to share this video. Go check out the podcast. We are on every major podcast platform. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Galveston Unscripted. For all historical photos and maps, thank you to the Galveston and Texas History Center at the Rosenberg Library and the Portal to Texas History at the University of North Texas.